there's so much misunderstanding about our feet, and I think we're so conditioned to our feet going into whatever looks popular, whatever we're used to. And there's this saying, and this one professor I had years ago, he was like talking about this one issue, and he goes, it's not profound, it's obvious. And that's like, I think part of the problem with modern footwear. We're so accustomed to it. It's like, so I brought this shoe, maybe I'll show it. I've been using this.
Dude, you're really fucking strong, by the way.
You just ripped that
shoe right in half.
And it didn't even make a sound. It was just like, holy Jedi shit.
So,
Jesus Christ.
So I have this shoe here. I know it's kind of silly, but I just threw this on the bandsaw, cut it in half, and,
You covered up the branding. I just realized that.
I bought it at Ross too. I just went in and got like the cheapest, like this looks like what I think most people think a shoe looks like. But we're just trapped in this paradigm. It's simple. But you look at this, like on the outside, you see a shoe kind of flat. But then like so many things, I think that when you ask 1 or 2 or 3 questions, you realize there's not much like holding up this idea.
Yeah.
And
So I call it like 3 questions deep. Like, why is sugar bad? And you start to go down the thing, and it's like the person doesn't have a great explanation any
like
longer.
0.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's even like 1. And then you find out there's the man behind the curtain. It's the Wizard of Oz. So in this case, what's going on with shoe companies? It's totally nuts. But you think of your foot just sitting there flat. Well, it's presented as flat, but then when you cut it in half, you look into it. This is the resting position. I don't know what they see or don't see, but the resting position for your foot. Imagine if you were barefoot and your foot was like, you're standing on a flat surface and you go, your foot would your heel would be down. The heel would be at the same elevation as the big toe. Like that's obvious. You might have a little bit of an arch built up. And your toes would kind of be splayed and you'd be nice and comfortable. That's another thing I could spin off for quite a while, and I'll actually come back to that, why they'd be comfortable. But so their idea of a resting position is that your heel is 3/4 of an inch higher than the middle of your foot at rest. And then the toe, I mean, this is crazy. And you just look at it for a minute and you can see all this stuff. The idea is that your toe, that's your big toe, is going to be lifted up, elevated. So what we know about tendons is they're basically just like big rubber bands. And if you just let a rubber band not be stretched, it'll shrink. And so they're putting your big toe in a position where you're actually shrinking it, and your foot's never actually relaxed. You're never going to be comfortable in this. And then there's other huge problems like, you've got this. I mean, look where the big toe actually is. And this is probably what Patrick Willis was dealing with.
Yeah.
His big toe is moved over here.
It's being shoved in the middle of the shoe.
And that, like, maybe you can get away with that for a while when you're just, walking around in the, in the mall. But when like Patrick Willis, one of the most amazing things I've ever seen him do was against the Cardinals. He ran down a wide receiver over like 70 yards. It was just like, that was crazy.
235 pounds or whatever the hell he was.
Just sprinted faster than the wide receiver. Just nuts. But if you put those tendons and ligaments and all that stuff under load, like they're going to start to conform to this shape, and you're going to make them do things they can't do.
Pat Roger family, how's it going? We talk about sleep all the time on this podcast. That's why we partnered with 8 Sleep mattresses. Now, this mattress is the Tesla of sleep. It's the Tesla of beds. Its technology tracks your heart rate variability. It changes its own temperature based off the way you sleep so that you get better sleep every single night. It is quite literally insane. Check them out. Andrew, how do they get it?
Yes, and before I do that, I wanted to let you guys know that you can actually set the bed to wake you up silently. I know that sounds weird, but actually the bed starts vibrating around your head, and it doesn't wake up the entire household the way my phone used to do back in the day. So now I just kind of have the bed wake me up silently, and it's amazing. You guys got to head over to 8sleep.com/power project. That's EIGHT sleep.com/power project. When you guys go there, you'll see a banner across the top saying that you're going to receive $150 off automatically. So again, that's 8sleep.com/power project to receive $150 off your Pod Pro cover or your Pod Pro cover and mattress combo. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
I know so
100%.
many older athletes in my life that I've known, and I've looked at their feet in recent years.
Yeah.
And I just constantly see big toe just pointing in this direction.
Yep.
Their feet are like, it's not good over a long period of time.
Yep.
But even if you're older, you can improve. But right now, if you're in your 30s, 20s, whatever, fix this shit.
Yeah.
Andrew, can you bring up that thing on the Nike site? Do you still have that kind of handy?
I do. And it's funny because you guys were talking about like the high heel and how like, I don't know if they're like hiding it or dressing it or whatever, but like on Nike's website, they are literally telling you that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
So this is a basketball shoe, but I'll just read this whole sentence.
Nike will never sponsor us now.
See if you can bring this
I just don't want to get sued by them. That's all.
Yeah.
shoe up on the screen as well.
Okay. Let me.
I watched the U.S. Open this year. I've never watched that much tennis in my life. My wife's friends were into it and they were watching it, and I actually found myself like getting into it. I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like these are insane athletes. That 19-year-old kid that won, it was ridiculous.
Oh.
But I was like, there is no fucking way they are playing at this high a level in stock Nike shoes.
Yeah.
Like these are bullshit Nike shoes. These are like custom. Like it's not possible. Like I don't know the truth on that, but I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, they cannot be running back and forth like this in regular Nikes. You would die.
Yeah. NBA players, I've heard, they have like all the Curry shoes, all that.
This one's out for everybody, and this one's made specifically for him.
Specifically for them. So all those high-level guys, they have specifically made shit for their feet.
Yeah, well, this one is the Giannis shoe, I guess, whatever.
Giannis.
But it's called Giannis, sorry.
Is that the guy in the Bucks?
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, fucking savage.
Shit,
so
that guy's fucking
drive downhill. The lightweight midsole is hollowed out under the foot where the zoom blah, 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 blah position. This allows zoom air units to be compressed underweight and expand to help energy. Also, they are slightly tilted forward and primed for your forward motion like a 100-meter sprinter emerging from the starting block. So that way you can attack the rim.
That's me.
Did you know that Wilt Chamberlain apparently at the end of his career did a 50-mile ultra marathon?
Holy shit.
And what did he wear his entire career?
What?
Chucks.
Chucks.
Right?
Taylors.
Chuck Taylors, yeah.
You know, and the only problem, I think Chucks are heavy, and the big
They
problem
might not have been super wide, but
they're
were
not that
probably-
wide, and the toe is messed up. But aside from that, you know, it should make us all stop and think like, okay, he did it. You know, it's not one of the things I try and tell people, like, why I would ask people that are skeptical about the sandals, and they say, well, doesn't that hurt? Doesn't it hurt to walk around? It's so thin or whatever. And I go, well, at the end of the day, when you go home, do you ever take your shoes off and they go home? Like, yeah, sure. Like, do you walk around your kitchen on the tile or the hardwood, and does it hurt? And they're like, no, it doesn't. Well, that's because once you have a hard surface, you don't push in any harder than you need to. In fact, your reaction time just speeds up.
Yeah.
And you're not.
Actually, I wonder if you guys have noticed this. Now he brought that up. I don't think about taking my shoes off and having that be like a relief.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys? I don't. Yeah, I used to like. I'd be on my way home and I'm kind of like, I can't wait just to kick these shoes off and just chill.
Yep.
I don't even think that. I didn't even think of it until you mentioned it. Now I'm like, oh, that gap has closed a lot, because I might still be wearing these in my kitchen just without even recognizing they're still on.
Yeah, totally.
No, that's so true.
That's
like
a big deal.
Do you guys like walking around the pool on the cement? Does it hurt? No. Well, it's, again, you're just being sold something you don't need.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, the cool thing is that this is something that anyone who does strength training or has been lifting for a while kind of already understands.
Yeah.
Within lifting, there are Olympic lifting shoes, and Squat University just came out with the first barefoot Olympic lifting shoe. But either way, the shoes are flat.
Yeah.
Like, if you're an experienced lifter, you know that you want the bottom of your shoes to be flat. A lot of lifters choose to go with the deadlift slippers, right? Because it allows them to fully flex their feet into the ground and create as much force as possible. Now, you wonder, though, why am I only trying to wear the best shoes to create strength within my foot while I'm in the gym?
Yeah.
Why don't I have something for when I'm moving around all day long, standing, doing everything else?
Yeah.
Should I have something that allows me to, I don't know, express the most amount of strength that my feet can?
Yeah. and you're like we talked about earlier, your feet they'll get stronger, but they'll be in a relaxed position.
Oh yeah.
This is not your relaxed human. It's not human. It's like somebody's just telling you are wrong and we got to fix it.
Yeah.
You're not going to change that structure of the foot and the way we're meant to move, And here's the other thing that's kind of funny. We always think about this being the predominant view, but just all of human history. I mean, think about the Romans. How did they conquer all those different lands, or the Persians, or whoever it was at whatever time? They're running around in literally almost nothing. In fact, up until the 70s, all our running shoes were just like super flat, super thin. It was so.
Do you know what changed that?
His name was Coach Bowerman and Phil Knight. So they teamed up.
There you go.
And Coach Bowerman,
he knows his history. I like it.
His whole idea was, and he personally,
what did he create?
He created Nike, and he created his first shoe was called the Cortez, I believe. And so what he did. Maybe if you could pull up an original Cortez, it's kind of interesting. So his idea was that, and he personally wasn't a runner himself. I mean, he coached a lot of runners, but from what I've heard, I could be wrong, he wasn't like a great runner himself. His idea was if we add more padding to the heel, the runner can lengthen their stride. Okay, and this is another gigantic piece to the puzzle.
And there's some truth to that. Because you can relax your stride a bit, but there might be a cost to it.
There's actually no truth to it. Sorry, Mark.
No. Oh, let's go. What do you mean? So, Pat Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.